I do want to get into this story. And Jeff, I want to know your opinion on this because Bart Scott he seems like he's drawing a lot of, confliction on some of the things that he has been saying throughout his show and throughout the press. Bart Scott said that Joe Schoen and the Giants are treating Saquon Barkley like a side piece. He also added that Joe Schoen should just tell Saquon that we're not that into you and move on. The reports Tuesday said that the Giants are very unlikely to use the franchise tag on Saquon Barkley and more likely will use it on safety Xavier McKinney. Saquon previously rejected deals of $12.5 million and $14 million from the Giants. The New York Post reports that the Giants wanted to give him $23.5 million guaranteed over 2 years, or a 2-year deal, but Saquon rejected that too. The deadline to franchise tag a player is March 5th, and the deadline to sign a player to a long-term deal is March 13th. And I do want to bring in our guy right here, Fish. Fish, you can come in because I know you're a Giant fan. I definitely want to know your opinion to this. But before we get Fish's opinion and Jeff's opinion and even Speedy's opinion, I have a few things to say about this. I understand Bart Scott's on a radio show and he's on television and he right now is the face or one of the faces of ESPN radio. Congratulations. I think he has a great personality, but he's a New York Jet guy. That's what he is. He works for the Jets. He speaks for the Jets. He's everything to the Jets. Why the hell is he speaking for the Giants? What does he know? Is he inside? Does he have an inside source right now? Is he hanging out with Joe Schoen? Is he hanging out with Dable? Is he hanging out with Saquon? I doubt it, okay? I doubt it. Now, obviously, he has a love fest for Saquon Barkley because all season long with the Jets, I don't know if anybody was watching the Jets games. At the end of the game, he was bringing up Saquon Barkley. Oh, this would be a dynamic duo if next year we have Breece Hall and Saquon Barkley in the backfield, being that Saquon Barkley grew up a Jet fan. It's not going to happen. The Jets are not paying him $14 million. And the reason why the Giants aren't paying him makes no sense. You're going to pay Xavier McKinney. Yes, Xavier McKinney, a guy that was a second-round safety who, let's be honest, is not even a second tier, a third tier safety right now, who is not worth the money he's probably going to get paid in the offseason. He's not worth 14 or 15 million. And I know what Jeff's going to say. It's not worth paying a running back. You could find running backs in the later rounds of the draft or undrafted running backs. But Saquon Barkley was 60% of their offense, and he's been the Giants' offense over the last 2 years, 3 years. And when he is in the lineup, he is 68% of the Giants' offense. So if you're sitting here right now today, if you're a Giant fan, do you want to see Saquon Barkley go to the Cowboys? Do you want to see Saquon Barkley go to Washington? Do you want to see Saquon Barkley, which there are rumors that he might go there, to the Eagles? I mean,
see spitting war.
If you really sit here today and you see Saquon Barkley in an Eagles uniform for the next 2-3 years, you won't be happy. If you're a Giant fan, you do not want to see the second pick a couple of years ago, was it 4 or 5 years ago, who finally has stayed healthy for the last 2 seasons. He really has. He's been healthy for the last 2 seasons. He's put up the numbers. He's done what he's supposed to do. He's asked the Giants to give him a 3-year deal. He wants to be paid Christian McCaffrey money. Now, is he Christian McCaffrey? Has he done what Christian McCaffrey's done over the last 2 years? No, he has not. And there's no fact. There's facts to those numbers. But here's the thing. Saquon Barkley, when you look at Christian McCaffrey, was Christian McCaffrey 68% of the 49ers offense this year? Was he? The answer is no, he was not. They have Kerry Kittle. I'm not Kerry Kittle. George Kittle. I'm sorry. They have George Kittle.
That'd be something if they had Kerry Kittle.
They would be pretty. He'd be pretty athletic over there at 6'6". But anyways, you would have George Kittle. You have Deebo Samuel. You have Brandon Ayuk. You have all these offensive weapons right there. So honestly, you sit here today and you kind of compare it and you contrast this right now. The Giants need Saquon Barkley. They absolutely need him. And if they go into the offseason and they're going to take chances with a Nick Chubb or Derrick Henry, how do you know they're going to fit that offense moving forward?
Yeah, and you look at the market for the running backs now getting stiffer with potentially the Browns cutting Nick Chubb as well. And that's why this kind of toying with Saquon Barkley as it is makes the Giants look bad. So I don't think Bart Scott's necessarily wrong in that statement. Yeah, you're right. He's more of an expertise on the Jets.
A side piece?
Yeah. That's
what are they sleeping with him?
Maybe, but regardless, the Giants have definitely done this wrong from the start, where I think maybe the overperforming of them in the 2022 first half of the season kind of changed the original plan they were going to have. I think they were to trade Saquon at that trade deadline anyway, but the Giants started so hot that they couldn't do it, and they had no wide receivers whatsoever. They had to break out Daniel Bellinger for the first half of that season, and that was their entire offense. And Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year, good for him, but still, it wasn't something that was sustainable, and you saw that in year 2. And now they're stuck with him, either going to lose him for less value if they do trade him and franchise him, or they're going to lose him for nothing.
What do you do? If you're the Giants right now, do you sign Saquon Barkley or you let him go?
Again, the Giants.
Just stop beating around the bush. Do you sign him or you let him go?
I'm worried they're going to have to sign him for more than he's going to want.
Do you sign him or do you let him go?
I think at this point they're going to have.
So
to
you're going
to
just let him go. You're going to let go of a player that was 68% of your offense.
Their relationship's doomed at this point.
But you can just give him the money. Give him the $14 million. Give him the $14 million for 3 years. You're not going to have to pay him for all 3 of those years. Give him that third-year player team option. Give him a 2-year deal. Pay him the $28 million. Guarantee him $28 million. And that third-year option is a team option. If he has a good 2 years, then you give him the team option.
I'm fine with that. Let's hope he takes it, though.
He would take that. I guarantee you, if he's making $14 million a year, no incentives, guarantee him $28 million. I guarantee you he takes that.
All right.
That's the move, Errol. You know, like there's so many deals that, you know, you see it on surface value 3 for 36. Well, how much is guaranteed? And a lot of it is perception. It's the market. If you give him somewhere around 25 of whatever that number ends up being guaranteed, he'll take it. Now, they might have to play games because that's how it is right now with the running back market. You know, he might have to let him test free agency, kind of, sort of, wink, wink, you know, with the idea that, you know, we'll match it within reason. But where is he getting money from? He was under 1,000 yards in 14 games, missed 3 games again. He's going to be 27. Where's the money coming from? He may end up under 30 million from whoever is offering it to him. So the Giants might get lucky here. And again, it's a dangerous game with a guy. God forbid he goes to Dallas, man.
He's going to. He's going to the NFC East team. Guarantee it.
Please just go to the AFC or something.
He's
go
not.
Run for Harbaugh.
He is going to stick it to the Giants. He's going to make sure he sticks it to the Giants, because I've heard the Eagles and I heard the Cowboys. Those are the 2 teams that are absolutely going to make a run for him if he becomes available.
It's an NFC East tradition, Fish. The Commanders do it all the time. Washington loves
to do it. Could you imagine him behind that offensive line? Right? Could you imagine? Oh, yeah. Could you imagine Saquon Barkley behind the Eagles' offensive line?
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine
how drafting with fantasy second overall?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you want to talk? You were speaking that Saquon Barkley didn't break 1,000 yards behind that offensive line. He's going to have 1,400 yards.
Oh, easily.
1,400 yards. Mm-hmm. And they love to run the ball in the red zone. Who do you think is going to be fed that ball?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think? They love to run the ball in the red zone. They're going to, what do they call it? The tush push? They don't even need to do that if they have Saquon Barkley. They have
an even better counter to the tush push.
Yeah. I mean, Saquon Barkley is going to be a beast over there with the Eagles. And I'm telling you right now, that's what's going to happen. And the Giants are going to regret not giving him that contract. You don't have to overpay him. Just give him what he wants. He wanted $14 million. That's what he wanted. Give him a guaranteed $28 million, 3-year with a 3rd-year team option. Give him that, and he will be happy with that. He will take that, and maybe add a couple incentives. He would be absolutely ecstatic about that. You're talking about $2 million of incentives. If he breaks 1,200 yards, he has over 10 touchdowns, and he touches the ball 200 times. You give him that extra $2 million. I would do that. That's $16 million. He's worth every penny of it. As he's been the Giants' offense, he's been the Giants' 2nd-tier offense. He's been the Giants' 3rd-tier offense. They don't have anything. What are they going to go and but they're gonna give Xavier McKinney the money? What are they nuts?
I think they'll franchise tag him and trade him too.
What are they nuts?
I don't think Joe Shane wants to keep him. It wasn't his pick.
Xavier McKinney. This is the same. This is the same guy the Beef wanted over CeeDee Lamb.
Good. We can trade him to the Cowboys.
Oh, I know. Jeff loves that. I know Jeff loves that.
McKinney's also been on social media.
Like, you can't mention McKinney over CeeDee Lamb and the Beef. Like, that dude knows less about football than anything else on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, Just bringing that up is just hilarious.
And McKinney had a great year too. I'm not bashing what McKinney did, but he's not. CD
Great
might have had the best year for a wide receiver this year.
Dude, McKinney's not even a top 10 safety
I know.
in the
I'm not
league.
disputing that.
Great year? That's not a great year. You got to be.
McKinney
top
had a
10.
good second half of the year. If you look back, he was god awful the whole first half of the season. Like he was almost unplayable to the point they almost benched him. And something happened. He came out and said something that maybe it had to do with the wink crap that was going on, but he played better second half because I think he started hearing the contract bell. I was like, oh man, I gotta start playing, but I don't, who wants that guy? Saquon, on the other hand, fought through everything, says the right stuff, says he wants to be a Giant for life. He said that as recent as like 2 weeks ago.
Saquon said that. Saquon said he wants to be a Giant for life. Xavier, have you heard that from Xavier McKinney? Xavier McKinney. First of all, and we all know where Xavier McKinney came from, okay? We all know what college he played for. And
your favorite school, Jeff.
Yes, your favorite school. Okay?
That's false. I don't have a favorite school.
But we know where he comes from, and we know his personality. And we've seen how many Giants have we seen come from that school and decide to flee the Giants and then go back to the Giants after they fail? How many times have we seen that? So and that's what Xavier McKinney is. To me, he's not the game-changing safety. He's not one of those guys. He's not an all-pro safety. Saquon Barkley is a game-changing player. He changes the game. When a team is trying to, plan to play the Giants, who are they trying to stop? Are they trying to stop all those terrible wide receivers the Giants have? Come on, who stands out on that rotation of wide receivers?
That's all good. Right, but you're basing everything off of the past, and that's going to change in the future. Like, more than likely, the Giants are drafting a wide receiver in the first round, like Malik. Right, so like their offense is going to shift. They're going to add some players. Like, if you were to rank positions on the team, what's the most important position to the least important position?
Right now, the league would say that the running back is the least important position.
Right. So you can always get guys. There's other guys out there that are really good free agents that can still come in and do the job while you draft some guys and train them. Like, are you going to honestly tell me that if you let, and I don't know what the numbers would be or whatever, but we can probably guess that Saquon Barkley is going to get more money than Derrick Henry.
Yes.
Are you telling me? Are you telling me that the Giants wouldn't be just as good with Derrick Henry next year?
But I don't know how
Derrick Henry and what else?
But here's the thing: I don't know how Derrick Henry fits in that offense. I mean, he's learning a new offense.
Derrick Henry's been the best running back in football for
he's a power back. He's a power back that comes from a team that really depended on him for everything. And you're going to say that about Saquon. I know that's what you're going to say about Saquon.
And you've seen how replaceable running backs are. Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in the game. They traded for a 6th-round Patriots bum running back and brought back Kareem Hunt, who no team in the NFL wanted. Every team had a chance to sign him. He was sitting on the couch at home and still came in and ran the ball well for Cleveland. Running backs are replaceable. Don't pay them the money.
I disagree. And we've argued about this, Jeff. And again, when I look at Christian McCaffrey, and everybody keeps saying how great Christian McCaffrey is, I could say that about Saquon.
Did he win the Super Bowl?
No, he didn't. But
great in the Super Bowl.
He played great. And if they won the Super Bowl,
160 yards.
How about this? 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 How about this?
The Chiefs won the Super Bowl, but it wasn't Christian McCaffrey's fault the Niners lost.
If Kyle Shanahan actually ran the ball in the second half of the game probably would have ended a lot quicker than it did.
Right, and look at the teams that have won the Super Bowl. It's all been running back by committee teams, which it was again this year with CEH and Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon.
Hilaire barely did anything this year.
He played really well when Pacheco was down hurt. Running back by committee. That's what happens. If Barkley gets hurt, who's behind him?
Matt Breida. Oh, yeah.
Right. That's why I'm saying don't pay him the money. Pay a bunch more guys. Draft some guys. Do it by
Jeff, Matt Breida hasn't been good in 4 years.
For that $14 million, you could sign 3 other running backs, and then you would also have depth.
I'm going to tell you this right now: if Saquon Barkley was on that Kansas City Chiefs team, they would be even better at the running game. Could you imagine Saquon Barkley behind that offensive line? Could you imagine that?
And think about that,
I
too.
don't know, man. Pacheco's pretty studly, dude.
Pacheco is not Saquon Barkley.
Jeff,
Stop it.
Jeff,
You
also think
know
all the
it's not.
examples you brought up so
You know
far,
that's not true.
including the Browns that didn't win the Super Bowl, but you mentioned every other team that won the Super Bowl. They have light years ahead of an offensive line better than the Giants.
Honestly, right now, and I'm not speaking of this because I'm not a Giant fan. I think Saquon Barkley's still a top 5 running back.
Yeah.
And if you were to ask me right now, when you look at Christian McCaffrey, if Saquon Barkley right now was on the San Francisco 49ers, he'd have almost identical numbers as Christian McCaffrey. That's just my opinion. And I love Christian McCaffrey.
Too much money, man. Ties up too much money. Let him go. Do your thing. Pay McKinney because it's a more important position. I'm not saying McKinney's a better player. Like, that's not at all what I'm saying. But it is a more important position. Draft better, reconfigure your offense so he isn't 57% or whatever stat you're throwing out with that he's a percentage of the offense. And maybe that's why the Giants think. Maybe they're just a one-trick pony and every team knows what they're doing. Maybe that's why they blow.
But, Jeff, you want to use that logic. Besides the Buccaneers, who had good safeties, did any team really win a Super Bowl recently with good safeties either? Like the Rams safeties, who were they? They had a bunch of backups playing, and Jordan Fuller was pretty good.
Patriots did pretty well.
Patriots, all right, fine. Patriots did well, but besides the Patriots and Buccaneers,
that wasn't that long ago.
Okay, fine. All right, the Patriots and the Buccaneers. That's
and the Rams.
The Rams did not have great safeties that year.
Yeah,
they had good corners. They had good defensive line.
But the Super Bowl point, moreover, Speedy, is that teams that do running back by committee are the teams that win the Super Bowl. Go and look at. Go pull up.
Fine. The last one. All right. The last one was probably the Seahawks. Okay, fine. I can understand that, but I think it also could say with other positions too.
It's like one out of the last 15 years, dude.
Well, you say committee,
Super Bowl winners,
but you say running backs by committee. It was Pacheco throughout the Super Bowl and throughout the playoffs. It's been Pacheco. It was nobody else.
Also, you see CEH and McKinnon.
Oh, very, very little.
McKinnon only played like a few snaps, man.
Yeah,
like Jeff. This is Fish. Nice to talk to you, Jeff. Listen, I get something that bothers me. Like, you didn't mention 1 3-down running back to compare Saquon to. There's 2 different types of running backs. You're talking about the committee stuff, but there's only a handful, and Chubb was one of them, of 3 before he got hurt, of 3-down running backs. And that's so valuable to a team, captain of the team. There's so many intangibles. Doesn't have to come off the field. You don't have to make substitutions. You can go hurry up. You don't have to worry about things like that.
That's exactly what you're describing is exactly the problem.
You're more versatile. Why would that be a bad thing?
So then when he gets hurt, we have nobody else.
Well, I mean, draft better, obviously, But I mean, look, the Giants stink. But they had 8-man boxes on him because everyone else on the team was terrible. And that's why. And you're going to blame him for everyone else being terrible, not getting open, being washed up, having bad quarterback play.
Awesome. Great point.
Maybe they should draft better first-round receivers, Jeff, and not draft the great Kadarius Toney.
Awesome. Great point.
Had Micah Parsons.
You know who doesn't give up an 8-man box? Derrick Henry.
He also doesn't catch the ball, and Saquon does.
And he's also 30.
Derrick Henry catches the ball just fine. And by the way, that's exactly the point. The Chiefs, all these other teams that have won, they all have a 3rd-down pass-catching running back. If you don't invest $14 million into one guy, like I just said, you could pay
Saquon's one of the best in the league.
A year.
Maybe they should draft a better team around them too. Maybe the Chiefs are actually a well-built roster. The Giants aren't.
You're going to draft Malik Neighbors and be fine, dude.
I hope so.
Here's the thing. And Malik Neighbors, he's going to be a great player in this league. We saw him in LSU, and we've seen LSU
Let's hope so.
Wide receivers come out, and Ohio State, LSU, and I believe LSU, Alabama, and Ohio State have the best wide receivers. They always do. Every 10 years, if you look at the best wide receivers in the league, they come from those 3 schools. And I do believe Malik Neighbors is going to be fantastic, but it might take a year. It might take 2 years for him to develop. Is Daniel Jones the guy? And are you going to trust if you're going into the season with Daniel Jones?
That's more the problem than who the running back is.
But that hides the deficiencies of the quarterback. It does when you have a running back that good.